All right, guys. So we're going to start with the A side first. Now, B's, like, you can still pay attention because when we get to you, like, it's going to make more sense when we get to you this way. But we're going to kind of go through the cash flow analysis or the property analysis activity. And again, this is a high level. Some of the numbers are assumed, but the idea is to kind of get you guys comfortable looking at an MLS listing, finding the numbers, and being able to kind of work it out on our property, okay? So first thing we're going to do, we're looking at property A. You know what? I should probably get a sheet so I understand. No. There's some extra ones here. Who said where's the rent? I told you the assumptions would be made. Guy can't even let me pick up a sheet. No, he did. He actually. This is an actual MLS listing. This is a property that I've actually underwritten myself, but I did that there. So a couple assumptions that are going to be made. So if you look at your cash flow analysis, you'll see some assumptions on the right side. So this is for property A. I'll have you guys write these down now so that when we go through it, you're able to fill it in, okay? So for the rent, it's a duplex, so there's a 2-unit property. One of the rents is going to be $1,300, and the other rent is going to be $1,500 on the property, okay? Which gives you $33,600 for the year. You can just write that on the side for now, and we'll end up filling that in when we go forward. Your insurance for this property is going to be $1,200 a year, $1,200. So that's about $100 a month on your insurance. There's going to be a miscellaneous allocation that I like to put into my underwriting, which is like $500 because you're going to miss something or something's going to be higher than you expected there. The maintenance on this property is going to be 10%, a little bit older. Some of the items that I identified needed a little bit more work, so I made sure I had a 10% maintenance allocation. Property management for this property is going to be 8%. Vacancy for this property is going to be 3%. For this property, you're going to get, now mortgage people, please relax. I underwrote this property months ago. It's a 4% interest rate, 30-year AM with 20% down. Okay, I know the interest rates aren't sitting there right now, but again, this works with whatever you get. You're going to have this conversation before. Your mortgage payment works out to $947 a month or $11,367 a year. You don't have to fill it in, just write it on the side so you have it so when we're ready to fill it in, we're going to work through the spreadsheet together.
Isaiah, could you repeat the rent?
Of course. Your rents are going to be $1,300 and $1,500. Which gives you $33,600 for the year.
What was the insurance?
$1,200 for the year. So if we look on this one, this is for A. Hope everyone can follow along there. Can everyone see that still? Yeah. Okay. So if we go where the purchase price is, let's all fill in that purchase price at $249,000. All right, that's the purchase price there. Sorry, we're going to be on the top right. My apologies. Purchase price is going to be right over here.
It's already filled out.
Oh, it is? Yeah. I'm good, eh? I'm good. That's how you recover from mistakes. It's a 2-unit property. This breaks down price per unit. Now, again, this is a duplex, so price per unit, it's not a super important metric, but as we get into Pranav's 24-unit buildings and stuff, you want to make sure that you look at that metric. And again, having this spreadsheet kind of gives you an idea of all the things you can have. And while we go through some numbers, I'll show you some stuff that we have and some stuff that we don't have there. So now you guys can put in the rents. As you can see, there's a spot for the monthly rents. You can put them in $13,000 and $1,000. And then as you can see here, this is all annual. So I know I have my quick maths guy up here, but don't worry, I'll do it for you right now. So again, your rents are going to work out to $28,000 per month, which works out to $33,600 per year. All right, on my A side, you guys with me still?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Who's excited about those rents? No? Okay, all right. You guys obviously do not invest where I invest. I see those kind of rents, my eyes are going crazy. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Okay, so let's go down Those are our income, all right? So that's our income for the property, our rents. Now, again, there's other things that you can do to also add income to a property, whether it's extra storage, paid parking, you can rent out more units and stuff. Any other income you'd have, I'd put it in this area here. And if it was a commercial building, something like a commercial multifamily, or maybe it had a storefront, I would add it down here. Again, this spreadsheet kind of gives you everything you can play with, but today we're only going to worry about the rental income. So as we go back down to our expenses, we're going to go for the taxes. Now, did I give you guys the taxes?
Yep.
Don't lie. I didn't give them the taxes. Yes, I did not give you the taxes. So if we go over to that MLS listing sheet, you're going to be able to find the property tax number there. It's like Where's Waldo kind of thing. Don't give it away. But yes, you're right. Everyone on my A side find it. And B side, if you guys are paying attention, probably be nice for you guys to circle it as well. So we're good. There we go. So we have our property tax. We're going to put that property tax number where it is. And then we're going to put that insurance number in there. What's our insurance number? 1200. There we go. Next thing, we're going to add the hydro. Do you guys see hydro anywhere on that? So if we look at that MLS listing sheet, we're going to be in that middle box in the lower area. There'll be an annual hydro line. It'll be on this sheet. Everyone got that annual hydro? What's the hydro number? 2577.92. Now, don't get me wrong. Is anyone going to put 92 on it, or are we all going to round up to 8? Always going to round up. Always going to round up. The reason why is because no tenant that I've ever met has been nice on the lights. No tenant is like, oh my gosh, the lights are on. Gotta turn. Never once seen that. Never once seen that. I did a property inspection on one of my properties. I go in, I swear, all the taps are on, all the lights are on, and the dryer's going with a t-shirt in there. I'm like, bruh, help me, help me. So I always like to round up on all the expenses to make sure I get a more conservative view of the property that we're underwriting there. Next thing we have is our gas and oil. Has anyone seen the gas or oil on the MLS listing?
Middle of the page.
Middle of the page. Does it say gas and oil?
Heating.
Heating, good. Because the reason I wanted to do that is because depending on what realtor, what market you're talking in, some people explain it different. You'll hear heating, you'll hear gas differently. So it's usually gas heating is from a boiler or from a furnace. So the heating expense is going to go on that line, okay? So we'll add the heating expense to that line. Good stuff. And there's some other stuff you can add here that we don't have in this property. Hot water tank. Sometimes it's a Reliance or other hot water tank rental. The expense for that would go here. Snow and yard. If you get into bigger properties like triplex, fourplex, sometimes the tenants don't take care of the utility, the property. So as a landlord, that's on you, and you would put that expense into your number here. I always like to make sure my tenants take care of it, but if you guys are aware of the proper landlord-tenant board, it's actually still your responsibility as a landlord. So always take that number into account if you need to. Anything else here? Yes, your water cost. Can anyone find the water cost for me there? $29.05. In my opinion, that's outrageous. They would be getting a low-floor toilet immediately. Immediately. I would be checking their diet too. Say, what is happening? So we're going to put that number in there. Working down a little bit lower on the page, there's a line for miscellaneous. I like to put in 500. I just have standard in there. It's always 500 in case I miss or go over on something like that. Again, as you start underwriting more properties, maybe you'll have a different number. Maybe 400 works for you, or maybe you look at really bad properties, so 1,000 works for you. But again, I like to have that number in there.
Is that annually? 500?
Yeah, 500 annually. So it's not going to make a huge difference, make or break or anything. But sometimes like banks will look at it slightly different. But if I've already underwritten an extra 500, I'm okay if the bank comes back a little bit lower because I'm like, hey, my numbers are good. My numbers are good. There haven't been too many times where I underwritten a property, brought it to a lender or the bank, and they said, no, your numbers are off. Just the way we underwrite it, I like to have my numbers nice and firm. But that's a good question. So next up, we're going to go into some of the more percentage calculations here. Now, I don't want to give them away from you. You're free to do these on your calculator as well. Like we said, property management is going to be 10%, and our vacancy is going to be 3%, and we had a maintenance expense of 10. Can everyone see the numbers here for those? Great. So why don't you guys fill in those numbers? 10%. So again, these are 10% of your rents. This is 8% of your rents, and this is 3% of your rents. Again, these are allocations. You're not actually paying vacancy to a human. You don't pay the vacancy man. That's not how it works. But as your property becomes vacant, you're going to want to make sure you have money set aside to deal with those vacancies. Maybe you have to repair the unit or wait a couple weeks before we fill it there, okay? All right, so now we're going to do some math. Can anyone figure out the net operating income on this property? That's why I gave you your cell phones and I made sure you had them because we did them, so you can't lie to me that you don't have a calculator now. So as you can see, we have the rents up top, which are $33,600, and we have our total expenses, which are $80,43.
It's almost 18,050.
$80,050. All right, drum roll. Are you confident with that answer?
Yeah.
Would you like to call a friend?
Fine.
Would you like? No, you're sure? All right.
I'm all good.
Okay, good. No, you're wrong.
Okay.
What'd you say?
18,050.
That's your total expenses.
Total, yeah.
And then, sorry, we're looking for your net operating income. So your net operating income is your income, so your rents, minus your expenses. One more line. That's my bad. I didn't explain it. I'm sorry. Adam, you said you had a NOI number?
Yeah.
15,557.
There you go. I like that. So that's our net operating income. That's like the amount of income your property makes before debt servicing, okay? So that's your NOI. Is anyone happy with that number? You guys like that number so far? Man, you guys don't like making money. I saw 15,000 NOI. I said, let's go. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go on and we'll look a little bit more at our mortgage terms. So the way I have this set up, this is for all debt servicing. And for Pete here, you can do some creative stuff here as well. So for me, it's very vanilla. First mortgage, which is from the bank, and your down payment here. Now you can get a little bit creative with this spreadsheet as well. You can add, if you're having a vendor take back, second mortgage here. If you're going lower than 80% financing, you can also add another line here if you're adding some sort of HELOC payment as well. This spreadsheet gives you the flexibility to add a lot, but for now we'll keep it nice and vanilla, 80% loan to value, 20% down payment. Does everybody on the A side have these numbers filled in? Okay, take your time if you guys need some more time. B's, I'm expecting this to come hard and fast, right? You guys have already got the dry run, so you guys should be ready when this comes.
I still want the same TLC from that side to this side.
You want? Oh, you still want to be traded? Okay, all right. I'll give you that. I'll give you right. Because I got to add value, right? Okay, there you go. Everyone good here on the A side? It's easier with the calculator. Don't worry. When you get the online spreadsheet, it's okay here. All right, so these are the fun numbers. These are the numbers that you want to see at the end of your deal here. So we'll start with the cash flow number. So again, this is our NOI, correct? That's our numbers before debt servicing. And then this is our total mortgage payment for the year, right? So if we take this number minus this number, that's going to end up with our annual cash flow number, which is $4,191, which gives you a monthly cash flow of $349. Now hands up if you want $350 in your pocket every month. Every month. Okay. All right. Now we're getting me. Now you're feeling me here. Another thing I like about this deal is your debt service coverage ratio. Now, the way I like to run my numbers, I want to make sure it's at least 1.2. 1.3, I get real happy. 1.4, I'm screaming. But you want to make sure this is 1.2. I even had a nice little graphic. It goes green when it gets above 1.2, so it's nice there. Now, again, this is another metric you want to look with as well. And you can also calculate your cash-on-cash return. I've done that quickly. It's 8.41%. So this is a very simple deal, 2-unit duplex. We're running through the numbers nice and methodically. We're using a system. We found out this property is cash flow positive. It's got a good cash-on-cash return, and our income surpasses our expenses. Hands up if you like this property. Hands up if this is something you'd like to investigate. That's what I'm talking about. Now, just because this property works on the spreadsheet doesn't mean I'm already going up to the bank and say, hey, I bought a property. This is step one. We do our property analysis and we take this and now we do a deep dive on this property. Let's go through the condition. Let's verify all these numbers. Because sometimes, the seller puts, hydro at 2,500 and I ask him for the bills and I do an average and it's like 3,700. I'm like, oh, you go back up, you fill 3,700 and I'm sure these numbers won't look the same. So again, this gets you about halfway there, but it makes you go the next step. If these numbers already looked awful, it's a property we don't even need to look at. We can move on from there. But again, this gives you kind of the way to get started. Does it all make sense for A side? That looks good? All right, B side. Oh, sorry, question.
Is
just had a quick question. So like, assuming, let's say you had a variable rate mortgage.
Yeah.
Would you do something where you add like an extra 2% just for inflation?
Great question. So when I'm over here, again, that's why I like this spreadsheet because it'll do it for you the way like we have the numbers in the background. So when I ran it at 4%, I think the going fixed rate was like 2.85.
Okay.
So I run my numbers high. So I know that I'm in a good position. I would suggest that you guys do it as well. So I usually run about 1.5% higher than where the interest rate is currently. And even now with the craziness of the Bank of Canada, it might be almost wise to go 2 points higher. And then you're able to know, because if you're, sorry, I'll get you one TJT. If you know it's 2.84 right now and the deal works at 4, I'm confident that even if the rates go up a little bit, the deal's not gonna fall apart. Yeah. But if you run it at 2.8 and everything is just squeaking, maybe it's time to take a step back and look at the deal at a little bit more macro level to see if you can withstand any fluctuations. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Jay.
Under what circumstance do people get approved for like variable and fixed mortgages? I know it depends on what the market offers, right? Well, how come some people are fixed at say like 2% and now people are getting it at variables for 7? Like, does it just vary on the person?
Sure.
Just when you get in.
So when you get in, so if you get a fix, you're locking that interest rate in for a certain term. So good story. So I had a good friend of mine, he's actually like my accountant. He locked in on his single family home with his girlfriend at like 2.2 just before Bank of Canada decided to lose their mind. And at that time it was high. Like you were getting, I was picking up variables for like 1.6. I was like, who is this? And he's like 2.2 and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry, like it's gonna be okay. And now he's laughing because he's locked in at 2.2 for 5 years where the market is getting fixed at what now, 5.5, 5.4? 5.5, right? So he's locked in. But as a variable mortgage holder, like I held a variable at 1.6 at that time, but now my variable is at like 4.3, 4.4.
So in this particular scenario, would you only get a variable because it's an investment?
No, I would probably get it fixed because, like as Ashton said, you might have flexibility to move. Like maybe you want to refinance, maybe you want to sell. I would probably get a variable. Now, the variable versus fixed conversation, that's a little bit more personal and person specific. Yes. But again, whatever you choose, you can still put that number into the spreadsheet calculator to help you calculate it. But again, if you're thinking fixed versus variable, that's going to be between you and your lender to find out what works for you. Great question, though. Anyone else? Yeah.
Just a quick question. Can you explain what that debt servicing is?
Debt service coverage ratio?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, DCR. So your debt service coverage ratio, so that's like how much the income of your property is going to cover your debt. So let's say it was 1. So that means for every dollar of income, you can only cover your debt once, right? The banks don't like that because if your income ever goes down, you don't have enough to pay your debt. And the bank's like, oh, I don't like that. So they like it to be 1.2. So for every dollar of debt you have $1.2 of income or 1.2% of income. So you're able to cover that debt service. That's why I like it when it's 1.3, 1.4. I get real happy there. But when you get like 1.1, 1.05, the banks start to get a little cold feet and they don't like the way that you're covering the debt with the income there. Yeah, does that answer your question? Perfect.
Would you make your variable at this point, like to try and, if the bank of the prime rate keeps going up, to switch over to a fixed?
Again, personal question for me, no. We're in this for the long haul. Again, real estate goes in cycles. I'm going to take this from Gary. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it rhymes. So, as the rates come up, like I do have confidence that rates will come back down eventually. And again, we buy cash flowing properties with good DCRs. So even when this goes from 4 to 4 or 5, we're still cash flowing, a little bit less, but that's okay because in 4 to 6 years, we're back down and then we're laughing again and we have less mortgage.
Can I share just a knowledge nugget?
Yeah, and I'll switch up to the next one. Go ahead.
So if you are considering switching from variable to fixed, like just have a chat, make sure it's the right choice, but a little hack that you can do. So your current lender, if they're offering you to switch from a variable to a fixed, you have to take a term that is either the same or 1 year greater than the term you currently have. So right now with a lot of clients that are wanting to get out of variable, if you actually break your term with your existing lender, you can go get a 1 or 2 year fixed with a different lender. That might give us some sustainability and some comfort for the next 1 to 2 years as the market sorts itself out, as opposed to just taking your lender's existing fixed rate option and maybe a higher term. Does that make sense? Thought I'd share that.
Thanks, Ashton. Appreciate that. No problem. So we're going to switch over to the B. Where are the extra sheets for this? Do you have those? Yeah, you want to pass one out for me? Actually, Jay, I'll just take yours. Just grab one. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna go to the B side now. A's, thank you for participating, and congratulations on your cash flow and property. You guys you're in it. Good for you guys. Awesome. B's, I hope you guys got the same luck. I hope you.
Just give us the same TLC, man.
All right, brother. Hey, you know that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so let's go through it. We're gonna go through it a little bit of faster speed because you guys have been there. A's, feel free to follow along as well. You can even flip it over and do it on the other side there as well. So for your property, same thing. It's gonna be a duplex. It's on Dale Avenue. This one's a little bit cheaper. $229 is the purchase price. 2 units. Price per door is listed here. Your rents for this property are gonna be $1,000 and $1,000. So quick math, that's $2,000 for the month there. Your annual rental income is going to be, okay, quick math. Who's this guy? So 24 for the month there. Now again, if we have any additional income, we have parking, we have storage. Let's say you're running a pet kennel somehow, you can do that. I've seen some crazy stuff, people adding extra income as well. Even if you're running an Airbnb, like you can still take that income or that income projection, and you can even add it as a commercial or rental income as well. I have a lot of space to add extra income there, and I always suggest you try to force as much income into the property as you can. Like if you got extra parking, should be paid. If you got storage, should be paid.
If you're doing that Airbnb, you'd have to minus off the rent for one of the properties and add the Airbnb into the rent.
Yeah, so what I would do if I was doing this Airbnb, so let's say I had one, I would leave the 1,000 here, make this 0, and then I would put miscellaneous. I might even change this to Airbnb income, and then in brackets estimate, and then I would put my estimated rental Airbnb income for the year there, and then it would calculate here at the bottom. All right, make sense? Perfect. Any other questions? Good stuff. Okay, so then we're gonna go on to our expenses here. Now, again, property B, where's your property tax on the sheet? Center. Now again, they don't all look identical to this depending on which realtor or how they print it out or which region you're in. It might look slightly different, but again, this is like a good generic template and you're able to find the information there. So we have $2,800 for the property taxes, or $2,830, sorry, thank you. What's our insurance on this one? Oh, jeepers, keepers. Oh, so you're right. I'm sorry. I'm falling off. All right. It's going to be $1,200 because I got the same discount for A's, same discount I got for B's. So you guys can use my coupon code at the end. So $1,200 for the rent there. In terms of the hydro, what does your hydro look like?
$28.87.
Jeepers, what are these guys doing? $28.87 for the hydro. And then we have the gas, or what's another word for gas that you see on the listings? Heating, yep, okay. And what's the heating expense here?
$11.72.
Finally, that's a little bit more respectable. Like, guys, turn off the AC. What's going on? So we have that one there. B side, you guys following along still?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You mean A side?
No, sorry, B side. Like, oh, you guys are doing math. That's why you guys are in it. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You're good? All right. Water and sewer expense. What's your water and sewer? $15.92 because you rounded up, eh?
Yep.
I like that. A couple things I wanted to mention about water here. Now again, you know what? The cat's out of the bag. These are listings from Timmins, okay? You caught me. So in Timmins, water isn't, it's not metered. It's a flat rate water. So you pay a flat rate for water. You think it's nice, it's not. So, but you can have it metered. But again, if this goes back to your market knowledge. If you don't know the market well, you don't know that's a thing. Because I remember the first property I did on Timmins, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to pay for water, like Durham, it's fine. And then I remember hitting that water bill, I was like, sorry? So knowing that is good. But again, so you want to understand if water is metered, because if it's metered, you know, there could be some fluctuation, versus in this example, I know water's fixed, so I know I can lock that in, where if it's going to be metered, I want to be able to take an average and then err on the higher side for that for our expenses. Same thing with hydro, same thing with gas. You always want to make sure you're running your numbers well. Goes back to knowing the market super well there. Just wanted to add that in there. Miscellaneous, we're going to put $500 in for this one. And I don't want to give too much away. You guys already looked. And our property management, we're going to go 8% on the property management and 3% on the vacancy. Now, again, so you saw our maintenance from the A to B, it's different. I did 10% for A, 5% for B. So this property was actually in significantly better condition. It was like a 1980s build and it was upkept really well. So I lowered the maintenance a little bit there. And again, as you underwrite more properties and get a little bit more experience, you'll have a freedom to play around with that number. But I definitely suggest anywhere between the 5 to 10% for maintenance there. And property management, that's going to be obviously what you choose for property management. Could be 0 if you're going to do it, but I would always recommend you have at least 5% for your property management because the banks are going to underwrite it that way as well. Okay, guys in the back, what is our total expenses for this property?
Currently calculating.
Okay,
Sorry, where are you getting the commercial vacancy from?
right here.
Yeah, like what does this property have for commercial vacancy? Or what's the difference between commercial and residential vacancy?
Commercial and residential. So it's which one did I do?
It's mixed use.
I think this one is a mixed use. What do I have it here? Oh no, I have 0. It's 0.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's 0. Yeah. Sorry, but that's a very good question. So if it is commercial, so let's say, well,
Storage in the backyard.
exactly, right? So if you're doing storage or you have a storefront, you got a nail salon in the front, you're looking at something mixed use, you would do this. So usually if you don't have how this spreadsheet is set up, if there's no commercial income, there's going to be no vacancy there.
Okay.
So it's linked to this number. So this number. If there's no commercial income, there's not going to be any commercial vacancy. But same thing there would be as this number is linked to this number here, so you'll be able to see it there. Yeah, good question. Sorry about that. Good stuff. Okay, so we have our total income. We have our expenses. What is our net operating income for property B? So that's our NOI. Go ahead, man. 9,980. Are you sure? Do you want to call a friend? No, he's good on that one.
I back him up.
You back him up? Wow, right on the money there. Good. So we have 9,980. That's almost 10 bands we're making in income. So that's pretty good there. You guys excited for the 10K?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Now let's go dive into our mortgage. Now, not mortgage, our borrowing, because some people don't have a mortgage. You could be doing something creative, so always for borrowing. But again, for this, we're going to keep it nice and vanilla. We'll go 80% loan to value from the bank, 20% down payment with a 4% interest rate for 30 years. And this is what our mortgage term looks out to over the year. I know you guys are seeing these numbers and you're like, who has a $875,000 mortgage? It's okay. This is Timmins, relax, relax. We're not in Oshawa today, so that's okay. That's okay. But again, these numbers work. The only difference is your rents are going to be way higher, right? Because in Oshawa, you're probably getting $2,700 in rent, whereas Timmins, you're getting probably half that. But again, you're going to see the other side on the mortgage side as well. Is everyone caught up on the borrowing? Get everything filled in there? Throw a pen up if you need another second or two. There you go. A side, I hope you guys are paying attention.
Oh, we are.
Okay, good, good. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. You guys are good. All right, so now we have our income, we have our expenses, and we show the borrowing costs. What does this look like from an end of day perspective? Ooh, whoa. I don't see that green that I saw in example A. I don't love this. The thing that I really wanted to highlight here, you saw better numbers, you saw a better purchase price, you saw a good mortgage, you saw all the numbers going, you're like, yes, this is great. But it's very important to take your analysis all the way to the end, because I've been the guy who gets stopped right here. It's like, oh, okay, 10K and then quick mortgage. Yeah, we're fine. This works. And then I keep going ahead. But if you don't run your numbers all the way through, sometimes you get left in the dark here. So as you can see, our debt service coverage ratio is under one. And that's just, no bank's going to look at that. And as an investor, you don't want to involve yourself in a property like there, because we want to be at least 1.2. Question?
I'll just add one more thing to that as well too, is that if you do purchase that property and it's a negative cash flow, that also hinders your ability to potentially purchase more properties down the road if you're trying to grow a portfolio. So you want to stay in the green.
Yeah, stay in the green. You see that little, I like it when I finish an analysis and I see it goes greens, I'm like, come on, there we go. I like it like that there. So yeah, so that was our quick, question here.
So what would the purchase price, like what is the lower amount we should quote for it to be green?
You know what, let's play around with it. So again, that's why I like working with this spreadsheet. Again, I made you guys do it manually just so you guys understood the process, but there's no way I'm calculating a property analysis manually. So it's 229 right now, so let's say if we made it 205. All right, so 205, we're gonna keep all the expenses and rent the same and just kind of go back down to the analysis. As you can see, even at 205, the property still is not cash flowing. So this might not be a property because, if he's listing it at 220 or he or she's listing it, there's not likely gonna be a $30,000 reduction in price just for you to make your cash flow number. Like we took it down 24K and we're still like what, $52 positive. Where DCR is barely over 1. Again, might not be the property. Maybe it makes more sense to say if we can get a vacant unit and raise the rents. That might be the game changer here. But again, once you have the spreadsheet, lots of different levers that you can play with there, okay? Good stuff. Any other questions?
Do you have this available?
Yeah, so our VIP guests will get one of these, and if you guys are looking for it, if you guys came in as general, not a problem, send us an email and we can make sure we get a version of this out to you guys, okay? Perfect. Any other questions? No? Yeah.
I do have a question. It's a little off topic, but I ask you this because you mentioned reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Hit me.
So just about taxes,
Yeah.
is there, like the author really talks about, I don't know if it just applies to American tax laws or Canadian as well. He really talks about how if you own a property as an investor or as a corporation as opposed to an individual, there's a lot of tax benefits in U.S.
Yeah.
Does that translate? What's your insight into the Canadian laws?
Yes and no. So I have a corporation, and I am you know what? I don't even want to dive into this because I don't want to give you bad information. That's a conversation you want to have between your tax accountant and your lawyer, because at times it makes sense and at times it makes no sense. Like if you're trying to buy like an owner-occupied property with the best financing, you're not going to do it in a corporation. But if you're going to take down a 24-unit apartment building as your 10th investment property, maybe a corporation makes sense. And I think something in between there might fall depending on your exact strategy and financial situation. And I don't want to be the one to give you bad advice, if that makes sense. But I can connect you with a good lawyer and a good accountant who can have that conversation, okay? Great question.
Further to that, actually, talk to your mortgage guys, because how many properties you can build in your investment portfolio, there's going to be a difference between what you can qualify for on your own if you have all those properties in your name, or if you're in the corporations. There are different ways you can qualify and get benefits that way, so talk to your mortgage guys too.
Yeah, so you can deal with all that for me, Ashton, because I don't want to deal with that. I'm joking there. All right, so that kind of sums it up. So we have a couple more things just before we get out of there. And again, thank you guys for the bottom of how you guys are staying in there. Try to keep you guys engaged as I can. But we have a couple more things before we wrap it up here today. From current slide. Come on, tech. Learning outcomes. We're kind of going to get back to it. What did we get done today? I love to see you guys came in. There was like nothing on your desks. It was like a sticky note and a pen. But after today, I'm looking around. Like we got papers. We've written on papers. We kind of tear it up. There's some food. Y'all need to eat a little bit more. You got to say that. But we have a whole bunch of stuff. So I know we've done some stuff today, and for me, that means a lot. Like I feel like I've provided that value, and whether you sat there and just kind of wrote it down or actually engaged, I love it either way. So I really appreciate that for that. So let's kind of break down what we went through. We went through the 7 steps of becoming a rookie real estate investor, all the way from identifying your financial stage. We talked about what investment strategies will work for you. We talked about what markets will work for you, as well as actually underwriting a property, at least at this basic level, so you have an idea of what's going on. We talked about various strategies from real estate investing. We got my live and flipper over here. We have some traditional buy and hold guys, BRRRR in the back, house hacking up here. So many different strategies that we touched on today that's going to help you guys take the next step in your real estate investing journey. We've talked about why real estate is a long-term investment, because we invest in real estate for the long term, right? That's what we do. We also explained how we can purchase properties. Remember, we went through the 6 different, from buying all cash, seller financing, a little different strategies there. We went through analyzing and identifying a good deal, like our A's, and a not so good deal over here with our B's, but we went through it and why that kind of makes sense, and then finally how to practically apply that in today's market there. So I hope you guys all got a whole lot of value out of today, but before we kind of wrap up, I want to bring up Gary, one of my mentors, someone I've been following for a long time. He's just going to add a little bit of extra value to you, kind of explain his insight from a real estate investor as an agent, and hopefully kind of cap it up for us, and then we'll do some Q&As after that, okay? So Gary, come on up.